Hey team, welcome to your Gambit stratagem. We're going to talk today about the GHD. We have a ton of these now at CrossFit Gambit, which we're super excited about, and we want to make sure that you guys are exposing yourself to the GHD appropriately. So a lot of people use this because they think about sit-ups. They want that six-pack that they see on TV, and they think this is the way to get there. Now we want to put an emphasis on training the back side of the body, so the posterior chain with two movements, the hip extension and the back extension, and then we'll also talk about the front side of the body with the GHD sit-up and options there. But when you're coming down here, getting yourself on the GHD, definitely take advantage of the back side. You're going to train your abs in class pretty regularly. We do a ton of toes to bar, a ton of sit-ups, a ton of planking, a ton of things to develop core strength. And so we want to make sure we're taking care of the other side of the body and develop those together. So let's talk hip extension and back extension, how to do these, why to do these. So hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable coming downstairs and getting on the GHD. So I'm going to bring Andrew up here, and he's going to start with the GHD hip extension. Now this might look a lot like a good morning. We're trying to stay, or our goal is to keep the trunk static, so on-changing throughout this movement. He's going to give you 2 repetitions. Good. Now from here, when you're setting yourself up for a hip extension, we want the hip to be clear of the pad. So you're going to be more forward than you might be comfortable, so use your hands to assist you. Now here he's parallel, so he's straight out, and I recommend starting by just supporting yourself in this Superman position for 10 to 20 seconds. Once you've got capacity there, you're simply going to maintain midline stabilization, so your spine's not going to move, and you're slowly going to lower down and then come back up to that neutral position, increasing range of motion as you're comfortable. Our end goal is 90 degrees and up, or the angle at which you lose movement through the spine. So if we round our back at all, he's gone too low. And then come on up, find that regular, that safe position, and then finish from there. So in the hip extension, the only thing moving is the hip, which is why it needs to be set in front of this pad, and then the spine is not moving at all. So think about, again, that good morning with a bar on your back. Okay? This is great because this is going to help you be more aware when you're lifting weights. So think like deadlift, the clean, the snatch. You're going to have the capacity to kind of maintain this strong trunk, which is definitely needed, especially as you get heavier in your loads. Now the other movement that we want you guys to focus on is the back extension. Now he has to make an adjustment to the setting here. He's going to pull it back to create more distance, because now we're going to trap the hip on top of this pad. Same thing, I'm going to have him show you guys 2 reps here for a back extension. And this should look way different than everything we teach you to do in the gym, with the exception of that Jefferson curl, which we often use to warm you up or cool you down. So now the hip is trapped on top of the pad, and that's not moving. What is moving is all this good stuff here. So he's going to begin in the same static position, but now he's going to tuck the chin and roll the spine 1 vertebrae at a time until he gets to the end. And then from here he's going to regain what we call midline stabilization at the top and relax. Okay? So this looks very different than anything we teach in the gym, and the benefit of this is you're learning more awareness about yourself and your positions. Also, if we're coaching you and you're kind of set up in your deadlift here, the more time you spend here, the easier it will be for you to kind of pull your chest up and develop more awareness through this position. Back extension, oftentimes completed much slower than the hip extension. Okay, now that's the back side of the body. We also do want to spend time on the front side of the body, so the anterior side. And you've got some options with the GHD sit-up. Now, before we start messing around with this thing, you should have some proficiency with the ab mat sit-up. Okay, make sure you can consistently do 25 plus ab mat sit-ups. Then you can start to play around with this. Now we definitely want to pay attention to your setup position on the GHD sit-up. I'm going to have him show you 2 full range of motion reps. Nice. Now the setup position is critical. He's set up such that his hip is free of the pad and there's a bend in the knee. We need this because this is what drives the movement. All I'm going to have Andrew do to initiate this movement is rapidly extend the knee, and that's going to pull his torso up. He's not even going to lean back. I'm just going to tap him and he's going to straighten the knee. And relax, okay? You'll notice when he straightens the knee, it pulls him up. You need to be able to do that in order to progress through this movement. Where you need to begin is with GHD sit-ups to parallel. So he's going to increase range of motion, and every rep we need to put the emphasis on is the knee extending to pull him up. So from here to parallel. Okay, that upward movement needs to be fast. If you're comfortable doing this, if you're rapidly extending the knee, now you can start to increase range of motion. But you should be able to do 25 repetitions to parallel before you're moving on. When we're looking at full range of motion, these can be pretty big and we can be different sizes. So know that it's not about touching the floor, it's about getting the shoulder slightly past the hip. Andrew's over 6 feet tall, so he might be able to touch the floor, but I'm going to hold him at the bottom for a second, all the way down. Shoulder is slightly past the hip. His hands aren't actually touching the floor, and then the knee is going to extend, or the heels kick the baseboard, pull up quickly. Let's see 2 full range of motion. Okay. So full range of motion again. Put a soft box or something below you to help kind of develop that, but don't utilize the floor unless it's a standard at a competition, okay? We like the GHD sit-up, but it can be overused and lead to kind of serious back injuries, dizziness, a lot of things. So make sure you're slowly introducing this in kind of like an accessory, pre or post workout. Once you've got some comfort there, then incorporate them into your workouts. But again, if you're doing GHD sit-ups, you also need to take care of the backside with hip extensions and back extensions. That's all we got for today's Gambit stratagem. Thanks for joining us.